The most powerful characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 3 might be Virgil, Zero, Phoenix, or Morrigan, but no character is as popular to play as Dante. Why is that? What makes Dante such a fun character to play? Before we can answer this question, we have to first define a few mechanics for UMvC3. First, we have to look at a term called damage scaling. Damage scaling is a concept that the longer a combo lasts, the less each subsequent hit does. This is true across nearly all fighting games, from 2D fighters like Street Fighter to 3D games like Tekken, from anime fighters like Guilty Gear to platforming games like Smash. This is done to prevent any one combo from doing too much damage. This is also done to prevent characters from killing another character off of one hit from full health. After all, one of the most hyped things about fighting games is someone making a comeback. Allowing characters to survive a combo or two helps create those situations. However, above all other fighting games, UMvC3 focuses the most on combos. Combos can last for a while, and mechanics like OTG, or off the ground, and TAC, or team aerial combo, allow for combos to potentially last for a character's entire health bar. But with damage scaling, players have to work for kills, meaning they have to perform long and complicated combos to guarantee a kill off of one hit. Another term we have to look at is the magic pixel. Game developers have a few tricks to make games less frustrating. Platforming games often let you jump off of a ledge even if you've technically already run off of it. There's a little bit of a grace period to prevent players from becoming frustrated by accidentally running off a cliff. The magic pixel is similar to this. In a lot of fighting games, the final sliver of a character's health bar counts for a little bit more health than the rest of the bar. This allows characters to survive on seemingly no health left, even if they actually have a good amount left over. Here's what it looks like when a character is on the magic pixel. And here's a representation of how much health they actually have if you were to make each pixel of the health bar even. Last, let's look at a term that is unique to Dante: bold canceling. Dante has an ability called bold move. Basically, if you push two buttons together, you can cancel his moves into a command jump, called bold move. In fact, one particular move Dante has, Stinger, can only be cancelled into bold move. However, you can't get much off of Stinger into a jump. This is where bold canceling comes in. If you cancel bold move into an attack in the few frames before Dante actually leaves the ground, you can perform another ground attack right after Stinger. This is called bold canceling. Bold canceling is an extremely technical maneuver, and it requires some pretty tight timing for players to get used to. However, when done well, it allows Dante to do some very long and very flashy combos. This makes Dante the epitome of a jack-of-all-trades character. Given the sheer number of moves he has at his disposal, he has a move for any situation. He has multiple projectiles that he can use in the air and on the ground. He can teleport. If he's in Double Trigger, his transformation hyper combo, he can fly. Plus, his sword gives him a pretty good reach compared to the other characters in the game. Finally, Dante's number of attacks means every Dante player can play differently to fit their playstyle. Next, let's look at how this variety combines with the terms mentioned previously. First, let's take a look at damage scaling. Dante is actually one of the more technical characters to play in the game. He has a lot of variety with his combos, and they can last a very long time. However, they also suffer tremendously from damage scaling. Take this example. Nemesis T-Type is able to do 672,000 damage in one 18-hit combo. In order to do that much damage, Dante needs to do a 93-hit combo. Each individual hit does considerably less damage than Nemesis hits, and Dante has to perform a lot more attacks in order to pull them all off. However, this isn't a bad thing. It's one of the core reasons why Dante is so much fun to use. It's very satisfying to perform his combos. To help describe this, let's look at something called the flowchart. The flowchart shows the relationship between player skill and progress in a game. The longer a player plays, the more difficult or complex the game has to be in order to keep the player's interest. If a game is too easy, players get bored. However, the same is true in reverse. If a game is too difficult, players will get frustrated and often quit. Therefore, for a game to stay interesting, it has to stay within the flow zone, where the game's difficulty is balanced with players' skill level over time. There's a good reason why many of the top players play Dante. He's a difficult character to use consistently, but he's extremely satisfying to use if played well. This is because of a little chemical in the brain called dopamine. Every time we succeed at something, or we are pleasantly surprised by something, dopamine is created in the brain. Humans strive on dopamine. It's why we play games. The more dopamine we can get, the better. And one of the best ways to get dopamine is to feel accomplished, and to succeed at a task. Thus, every time a player successfully performs a tricky input like bold canceling, or they can execute a long and complex combo consistently, they're hit with a shot of dopamine. This is especially true if they can adapt their combos in unique and varied ways based on the battle's flow. This combines with Dante's sheer variety as a character to help give players as much dopamine as possible. However, the magic pixel can also work in reverse to help make a combo more satisfying, and this is something Dante is particularly good at. If a combo lasts for a very long time and the very last hit is the killing blow, it's incredibly satisfying. All of the variables line up to make the combo as picturesque and perfect as possible. Because Dante's many hits each do very little damage, he can keep hitting his opponents while they're in the magic pixel for a good amount of time, and developers are aware of situations like this. Have you ever wondered why combo finishers in games like Kingdom Hearts are the hits that do the most damage? This is because game developers know that a final strong hit being the killing blow is satisfying, so they make sure that it's more likely for the last hit to be the finishing blow. This is the case with other characters in UMvC3, for example with Crimson Viper's Burst Time Super. The last hit of this move ignores damage scaling, meaning it does the same amount of damage every time, which is often higher than any other individual hit during the rest of the combo. Dante has this as well, although the effects of this are actually a lot smaller. Some of his finishers, such as the last hit of Crazy Dance, the last hit of Beehive, and the final shot of $1 Million, all do slightly more damage than the rest of the attack. This difference is smaller than with Crimson Viper, but it still allows for moves to be timed in a way that the last hit is the finisher. Yet, the difference is small enough that it's not as obvious, and thus it is more impressive when these hits are actually the final blow. For a perfect example of this, look no further than a player by the name of Dual Kevin. Dual Kevin's calling card is his ability to time combos in which the final hit is his finisher.
Too aggressive. I mean, granted, that is the style of play he plays, but Dual Kevin's on it, man.
Down to the last hit again.
Oh!
Tag and dip.
And this contributes to why Dual Kevin is one of the more interesting players to watch. Finally, let's look at Dante's most difficult maneuver to get down, bold canceling. Bold canceling is one of the most crucial parts to playing Dante effectively, as it's one of the most reliable ways to cancel one of his most useful tools, Stinger. Bold canceling Stinger is often used to help space certain attacks and link together certain combos.
Want to see him.
How did you recover that?
It is also an option to throw in if you want to add just a one little extra hit of a combo. Doing this often doesn't add much, and it is much more difficult to perfect than the extra damage is really worth. But if performed consistently, not only does it add that extra little bit of damage that may be required to guarantee a combo kills, it also looks really cool to throw it in. However, with this move being so difficult, why do so many players still take the time to perfect it? After all, Crimson Viper is likely the most difficult character to learn, but if played well, has some of the best tools, matchups, and damage of any character in the game. Yet, not nearly as many players play Viper. Why is this? Well, in simple terms, Dante is easier to get into for new players, while still having the variety and technical skill to entice veterans.
Oh, okay. Dante versus Dante.
Alright, who is the better one?
Simply put, Dante is the best middle ground for new players to transition into veterans. And every fighting game veteran will tell you, one of the most important parts of picking up any character, but especially the technically complicated ones, is practice. That's why every fighting game has a training mode, so players can practice their combos over and over again until they're confident they have them down. This form of monotony is related to the RPG concept of level grinding. It's doing one task over and over again until it's well beyond the point of being fun. Why do players grind in RPGs, and why do players practice the exact same button inputs in fighting game training modes for hours on end? Well, it's because of something psychologists call self-determination theory. Humans crave self-determination, or a feeling of confidence and satisfaction in themselves and their accomplishments. They achieve this through three main principles: competence, autonomy, and relatedness. Players like to feel that they're skilled at something. In RPGs, this translates as higher levels that allow them to take on tougher and tougher enemies and unlock new skills to use. In fighting games, competence is much more based on a player's physical capabilities. If a player practices the same combo over and over again to the point where they can perform it within 10 situations against actual players fighting back, they feel incredibly competent. They earned that. Autonomy has to do with a player's sense of freedom and choice. In fighting games, this has to do with the specific combos and even characters a player chooses to learn. It's not impressive to see the same Zero lightning loops or Dr. Doom foot dive combos over and over again. But seeing something new and being able to say that some team setup or custom combo is yours and no one else's is powerful. That's exactly why people love Dante. His sheer variety of moves means no two players' combos look exactly the same. Finally, humans love relatedness. As social creatures, humans love having their work seen and appreciated by others. That's why fighting games are as much spectator events as they are games played between two people. Players who can perform insane feats are even more happy when they can do so in front of thousands of fans.
Struggling to figure out what to do versus this really original team. Even
Everybody in the audience
yeah.
is like clapping right now. I'm loving it.
NorCal and SoCal coming together, loving that.
This is also why many people make combo videos. The crazier, flashier, and less practical a combo is when done in a video with cool music playing in the background, the more satisfied the player is when other people comment on how cool they are. Now that we've seen some of the most important aspects of Dante, we can begin to understand why so many players love to play as him. He's flashy, his combos are long, he's difficult but rewarding to play as, and he gives players the freedom to play as they want to. More than any other character in UMvC3, it is clear to see how different two Dantes can be, and that's why players gravitate towards him. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, let me know by liking the video and subscribing. I'd also love feedback in the comments if you have any thoughts, and if you have any ideas on what topic I should cover next, let me know too.